everyone. Today is Tuesday, March 7th, 2023, and we're here for a regularly scheduled town board meeting. As always, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilman Bayrott, welcome back. If you could
Thank
please
you.
take the lead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman. Nice work. And I guess we have somebody from our faith community with us today. Did you want to introduce
We
that?
do, and I love introducing her every time she's here. She's a beacon of light in our community. I want to bring up one of my favorites, Reverend Mary Cooper of the House of Praise Christian Revival Center in Riverhead. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So good to be here, and thank you for your prayers while I was out sick, and thank you for your cards. And I just thank God for each one of you. So if you bow your heads with me during this special time of the year. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've made for us to rejoice in. We thank you, O God, for holding the flakes and allowing us to walk on dry land. We thank you, O God, for answering all of our prayers. We thank you, O God, for the supervisor, the councilman, the town clerk, and all the staff who keeps our town beautiful and flourishing for our residents and our visitors. We ask, O God, that you would bless everyone who came today, for you said where two or three are gathered, you're in the midst. I don't know exactly where you are, but we thank you for being here. And we ask, O God, as we deliberate with those who came to witness or to be a partitioner, we ask that you would bless them, and we give you all the praise, the glory, and honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you, Reverend, very much. And as we do every year during the month of March, we're going to invite our town historian, Georgette Case, to come forward with a special announcement for us. Georgette?
From arrowheads in the area to putting a man on the moon, Riverhead has a unique history. Riverhead was chosen as the Suffolk County seat in 1727, and it is still mostly the county seat. Long Island was invaded by the British, who created terror among the inhabitants during the American Revolutionary days. Once the war was over in 1783, Riverhead began to flourish. Residents began to grumble about traveling to Southold to take care of government business. Do you know how long it would take to walk to Southold, ride a horse, or ride in a carriage to Southold Village? Well, it was too long. New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate heard the complaints from Riverhead and agreed to create the town of Riverhead on March 13th, 1792. Madam Deputy Supervisor?
Yes. Passed the 13th of March, 1792, an act of the New York State Legislature establishing the town of Riverhead reads as follows. An act to divide the town of Southold in Suffolk County. Whereas many of the freeholders and inhabitants of Southold in Suffolk County have presented to the legislature that their town is so long that it's very inconvenient for them to attend town meetings and also to transact the other necessary business of the said town, and have prayed that the same may be divided into two towns. Therefore be it enacted by the people of the state of New York, represented in state and assembly, that all part of the said town of Southold lying to the westward of the line beginning at the Sound and running thence southerly to the bay separating the towns of Southampton and Southold, and which is the eastern boundary of or side of a farm now in the tenure or occupation of William Albertson, and is the reputed line of division between the parishes of Aquabog and Mattertuck, shall from and after this first day in April next be erected into a distinct and separate town by the name of Riverhead. And the first town meeting of the inhabitants of said town shall be held at the dwelling house of John Griffin at the Riverhead. And the said town shall enjoy all the rights, privileges, and immunities which are granted to the other towns within this state by an act of the legislature passed on the 7th of March, 1788, entitled An Act for Dividing the Counties of this State into Towns. And be it further enacted that the poor of the town of Southold on the first and the town of Riverhead in such proportions as the overseers of the poor for the time being of the said town respectively shall agree, and in case of disagreements of the said overseers, then in such portions as the supervisors of the county at their next annual meeting shall direct, and the contingent charges and expenses of the town of Southold that have already arisen or shall arise before first day in April next, shall be assessed, levied, and paid in the same manner as if this act had not been passed.
And of course, you cannot have a celebration without singing happy birthday. So let's belt it out.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Riverhead. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Georgette. Great job, as always. Appreciate your time today. Good to see you.
And ironically, 231 years later, it can still take as long to get to Southold from certain times
Right.
of the year.
Depending on seasons, yeah.
Good point, Councilman. So we have just one quick announcement today. As some of you may have already noticed, the 3 resolutions pertaining to battery energy storage have been removed from the agenda today. This affords the town board an opportunity for a work session discussion, and they can have a secret expert from BFJ that our planning department has arranged, and that's already confirmed, I'm told, for the work session of the 16th. And then if the board is amenable, of course, can be taken up at a town board meeting thereafter. So,
Correct.
moving on, can I have a first and a second to approve the minutes from the 2 regular town board meetings, February 7th, 2023, and February 22nd, 2023?
So moved.
Seconded.
Diane, can you take the vote?
Certainly. Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Okay, and Diane, do we have any correspondence or reports to review today?
Yes, we do. We had 3 letters of support pertaining to the downtown riverfront overlay district. One was from Mark Lamena, another from Garrett and Amanda Moore, another from Christiana Betonti Fisher. And then there was a letter from Kelly McClinchy with comments on Town Board Resolution 145 concerning Water Infrastructure Improvement Act. A letter from Barbara Cataletto with the New York Citizens Audit Long Island Lead, and that was regarding election concerns. A letter from Kathy McGraw with comments on the battery energy storage systems. And a letter from Stephen Shulger with comments on the proposed amendments to parking on Edwards Avenue. Under reports, the town clerk report for February was $12,726.50. The building department February report was $65,353. The tax receiver total tax collection to date as of March 1st was $639,577.91. And the tax receiver February utility collection report was $275,252.06.
Great. Thank you, Diane. So, Councilman, I know that there was a request to take the one resolution out of sequence, but we're going to just pause on that just for the moment and wait for the supervisor to get here. She just is going to be a few minutes delayed getting to the meeting today, so we're just starting, and then when she gets here, then I don't anticipate any issue with pulling that out of sequence. So we'll just continue with the agenda as it's described to us. We'll move on to our public hearing section of our agenda today. Our first public hearing was scheduled for 2 p.m., and we'll turn it over to the town attorney. I understand he has a quick announcement regarding this public hearing, which was regarding a special permit for 644 Roanoke Avenue. Counsel?
Thank you. This public hearing at this time is being canceled due to defective notice pursuant to Town Code 301-311. It will be re-noticed pursuant to that section of the Town Code at a later date.
Okay. All right, great. So we'll move right on to public hearing number 2, which was scheduled for 2:05 today, which concerns matters surrounding Chapter 301, site plan review. And for that, we have Matt Charters, one of our esteemed planners, here to just briefly overview the topic before we open it up for any public comment.
Just one.
Afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon. Sounds like everybody can hear me today. Usually I don't get along too well with this microphone. If the board recalls, this was first discussed on February 9th at the work session. These are changes to site plan review and basically the process that we carry out in terms of referral. Was made aware to the town that through the referral process, certain referrals weren't making their way to the fire district either in a timely manner or not necessarily at all. In the former way the code was laid out, these referrals would go to the fire marshal's office. Then from the fire marshal's office, they would make their way to the fire district. So as part of this code change, we have separated that out. So the fire marshal will get their own referrals, and then the fire districts will get a separate referral. We also made other changes to this code. It's a lot of cleanup. I know there's a lot of things that are crossed out, some language changes, but it's really just sharpening the code and moving things around with the referral process, really the crux of it. By code, formally, referrals didn't need to happen until final site plan. We are moving those to preliminary site plan, which we do by practice now in the planning division. Just best practice to get applications out to involved agencies, as soon as possible to get their comments. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome. Any questions?
And now we'll open it up for public comment by any of the folks in the room or on Zoom. Does anybody wish to comment on this public hearing? Don't see anybody in the room. John, anybody online? No. Okay. Nice work. Thanks, Matt. Does the
Welcome.
board have any comments?
No, I think it's smart.
It makes it a little more precise, and the flow is better, and it makes sure it gets to the appropriate people in a timely fashion.
Yes.
Okay. So not seeing anybody for comment, we're going to go ahead and close this public hearing, but we'll keep it open for written comment until 4:30 of close of business on March 17th at the town clerk's office. So moving on to our next public hearing, which was scheduled for 2:10, and the time is now 2:18, which is for a public hearing regarding consideration of a code change related to recreational motor vehicles. And for that, Eric, you going to do that? Or is
Yes.
that Danielle? Okay, so we'll turn it over to our town attorney, Eric Howard, to briefly introduce the topic.
All right, so this is a sort of housekeeping amendment to Chapter 289, Section 42, sort of a practical amendment that addresses a practice that hasn't really traditionally been followed in filing a written consent with the town clerk. It's also an exercise to make ATV operation more convenient to farmers. It will now require ATV rider on farmland to have, well, on any private property, to have written consent of the homeowner with the telephone number as a contact in the event that they are stopped by a law enforcement officer. If they fail to produce that, it just creates a rebuttable presumption that they did not have permission. They can subsequently show that they did with written consent or contact with the property owner. It takes out a provision that required filing with the town clerk and required the rider to carry on his person the written consent with the official seal of the town clerk, official stamp and seal of the town clerk, which was a practice that was never really fully implemented, and just sort of cumbersome and inconvenient to, in particular, the farmers.
Okay, and
That's it.
Councilman Bayreuth, did you want to
Yeah, I
add
just wanted to
anything?
make a couple comments. I brought this to Eric just for streamlining, especially in the farm community. We have children, we have neighbors that want to go out and drive on the dirt roads or on the farm or on the property. And we've had a couple of incidents. There is an East End task force from Suffolk County Parks that is a joint task force with Riverhead PD. And it seemed that there was an inconsistency with the county regulations and the town regulations. So this is an administrative thing to try to make it streamlined and to get rid of the never used, am I correct?
You are
Never
correct.
used raised seal part of the code. So this should not affect anybody adversely, and I think just adding the cell phone number of the owner really cuts to the chase and lets the officer know that, hey, did I or did I not give permission? So I think this is really a great step forward.
Okay. All right, so at this point, we'll open it up for public comment on this public hearing, and we'll just ask that everybody please state their name and their hamlet for the transcriptionist.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Robert Skinner, Jamesport. I think not only is it, I guess works for you guys as a housekeeping thing, but I think for residents that live near places where this would go on, I've read the long form twice, and I think it's a very well put together piece of legislation, and I would hope that it is passed. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else to make a comment on this particular public hearing? Anybody in the room? Anybody online? No? No? Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead. Board is comfortable with this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and close this public hearing. We're going to keep it open for written comment until close of business on March 17th, 4:30 at the town clerk's office. And next, we'll move on to our next public hearing, which was scheduled for 2:25. We had a little bit of a gap. The prior one was 2:10. We had a little glitch in the system, and then the public hearing was set for 2:25. So, Counselor, I guess we need to wait a couple minutes. And what's the procedure on that? I don't want to run afoul of anything. Are we okay?
I think we can open it right now, and as long as it's
Still
open
going
for
on?
5 minutes, I think
Okay.
we're in good shape.
That sounds great. Then that's what we'll do. So, yes, we can do that, or we'll just go ahead with this fourth public hearing, which, as I say, was scheduled for 2:25 regarding possible change to Chapter 289, parking by permit. We're going to bring forward our Deputy Town Attorney, Danielle Hurley. She's going to briefly discuss and overview the topic. And I know we also have our Chief of Police here as well, and he can help answer any questions that folks may have. Good afternoon, Danielle.
Good afternoon. I will try and talk slowly to reach the 2:25 mark. So this is a public hearing on a code change to Chapter 289-21. The Town Attorney's Office was contacted by the Chief of Police, and there was a recommendation from the Traffic Safety Committee to address the parking at the north end of Edwards Avenue. A work session was also held on this proposed code change. The code change would allow parking with a valid beach permit on the west and south side of Edwards Avenue from its intersection with Beach Way to Meadow Drive. And I have an illustration for demonstrative purposes, so everybody can take a look. The red would continue to be no parking, and the dark blue would be parking by permit only.
I just have one question. The east side had parking available or by permit or no?
The east side, no.
Never had it?
Nope. It is, Chapter 289-10 prohibits parking on either side of the road except by Chapter 289-21, which is parking allowed by permit.
So this is, for all intents and purposes, expanding the ability to park on this road.
Correct, by permit.
I was not aware of that. I didn't read it that way. I'm sorry.
Okay,
And I disagree with it.
okay.
Okay, and we just had our Chief of Police come in. Chief, did you have anything you wanted to add to the introduction of the public hearing related to parking by permit, Chapter 289, regarding Edwards Avenue? Danielle introduced it pretty succinctly for us. I just wanted you to have an opportunity to contribute before we open it up for public comment.
Sure, so there was a change down by the beach as far as parking spaces. So they were eliminated 2 spaces down there where the people park for the beach. So we increased the parking by permit a little more. I call that on the south side of Edwards Avenue. And there's no parking on the north side.
Okay.
No, you have east and west.
East and west, yeah,
Oh, okay.
so right.
Yeah, okay.
So the beach side is no parking. The other side, which would be the south side, is
Well, I think
parking
you'll
by,
hear from some of my neighbors.
parking by permit only.
Is there anybody from the fire department here that can address this in terms of getting fire apparatus if there are people parked on that street?
Just so you know, currently, there is parking by permit on the blue side, or on the south side, or on the west side, whatever you want to call it. It goes maybe not so much halfway up the road from the beach. So that's already in place. So we're just extending it a little further.
But
You're extending it, chief, because you lost 2 spaces?
Correct.
Did you extend it just 2 spaces or a lot more?
No, we did not just,
800 feet.
right.
So, I'm just curious about, again, fire apparatus. It's barely 2 lanes there, correct?
There's 2 lanes.
It's a narrow.
Barely.
But it's barely. Does anybody know the width? The whole road is 20 feet wide.
Chief, they can't hear you. If you could just raise the mic.
George, you have to come up and speak.
Okay,
Good?
yes. I wish somebody from the fire department was here, just in case there was a situation, and could they get in and out? Okay.
We can always ask Mike, too, from Highway Department.
Oh, okay.
He's not here, but he would definitely give you the road measurements.
Well, just, thank you.
Yes, come up if you have
Okay,
comments,
yep,
please.
we'll open it up
Yep.
for public comment now. Come on up.
Hi, my name is George Good. I live on 6 Summit Drive in Bating Hollow, but I also co-own a house on 1887 Edwards Avenue, which is right on that curve that we're looking at here. And one of the things I wanted to make sure that people understood, because I think there were some misperceptions about whether this was a change or not. I wanted to point out, I'm glad we have that overhead, because if I could use it. I want to make my comments from 2 different perspectives. I'm the president of the Wellswood Civic Association, which is all of that blue line there, as well as up into Summit Drive. It's 70 lots, which are a mix of houses and lots. And I've spoken with pretty much all of the members that live along that blue line, many of which are here, and they're all very opposed to this change. If I could just use the map from there. So the current parking by permit runs from about,
We have a mic.
down, this.
Hold on, George, we have to mic you,
Oh,
if you
okay.
don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, the public needs to hear
Otherwise, you don't come over on the TV so
got it.
much.
So the current parking by permit only, there are 6 signs down there. And here's the parking area. This is where the 2 slots were lost due to the development of 2 houses. They did a beautiful job there. And this section here is labeled parking by permit only. And it's largely vacant land. It's wooded land. The Shawger's house is actually like right around there. It does go right up past their property. And it runs right up to 1913, which is the Andriaki, the yellow house. And it ends right about here. And if you look at the current code that's lined out, it says to a right-of-way that goes to Summit Drive. There's a right-of-way that comes up through the woods right here to Summit Drive, right in this region right here. And that's the area that is currently parking by permit only. What's being added, I calculated on Google, I put a dot here and I ran it down to Meadow Drive, is approximately 800 feet. So we got 2 parking spots, we're adding 800 feet. That's not even my issue. My issue is safety. It's easy to look at a line like this. If anybody has ever been here, this is a very steep hill. And this hill comes into this curve right here, is completely blind. You cannot see. My son's house is right here. And now I'm speaking as a grandfather. My 5-year-old granddaughter lives there. My son can't get out of his driveway without, he has I bought it, a $300 concave mirror on the other side so that he can see what's coming on that road. It is treacherous with no parking. And you cannot, if you put cars along here with kids getting out and rafts and, you know, whatever they're going to do with cars flying down that hill, and believe me, they fly down that hill, it would be dangerous. I talked to my son, he's at work, he's at Riverhead Building Supply. He said, if they do that, somebody's going to get killed. And I believe it. This is a very dangerous area right here. So, you know, both from speaking as a grandfather, which is very close to my heart, but also speaking, you know, for Wellswood Civic Association,
Just jump to that.
Oh, yeah.
you know, I have to say that it's a bad idea. And what really should be done for safety in this region, I'm okay with the parking by permit area that's currently designated. You know, I love to walk on the beach just like, you know, everybody else. I rarely see that many cars parked there, but, you know, there's probably, I don't know, 300 feet or more of parking along there. But to make that, there's literally no shoulder. And these residents' driveways, again, this area, I mean, Olivia's driveway is like a 45-degree angle. It comes down like this. The Fred and Anna and Rico, their driveway, comes off on a sharp angle. My son's driveway, sharp angle with the mirror. So I'm telling you, that whole blue line that got added there is all in front of residences. The part that's parking by permit only is vacant, and it's much safer.
So can I just ask then, would you know it better than anyone living there, be a medical then, if we lost 2 parking spaces, if we extended it 50 feet to replace those 2 parking spaces and conclude it there, or what would be your thoughts, or do you think it's dangerous to conclude
I think
any further?
then you're going to be like right in front of Olivia's house. So I kind of think,
that's what we want to hear.
I kind of think you should leave it the way it is, and I actually think that should be, from there on, should be designated no parking.
Okay.
For safety reasons.
Yeah, I will say, I live in the neighborhood as well, and not only is it just steep and it's windy, but there are people that are walking dogs, and there are people that are jogging or
Yes.
walking or bicycling,
Yeah, many
and
of
it's
them here.
very, very narrow and very windy, and it's dangerous the way it is right now.
It is. So, thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George. Thank you for.
Okay, let me just make one comment, I'm sorry. We're gonna get to you in just one quick second, I promise. Before we continue on with comments, and I know there are a lot of folks in the room that want to be heard, we want to hear everybody, we're gonna just take a 5-minute recess. So Larry, if you're ready for that, I'm gonna ask just for a first and a second from the town board. We're just gonna kind of hit the pause button for about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna pick right back up where we left off, and we'll hear from everybody. So can I have a first and a second for a quick 5-minute recess, please?
So moved.
Second.
Great. And Larry, just let us know when you're ready. And John, you killed.
Again.
I don't know if that matters.
Okay,
Recording in
Kern,
progress.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
So moved.
So
Thank you.
moved, yeah.
Great. Okay, so now we're on a recess, right? Officially?
Recording stopped.
Yes.
You know who's got
Okay.
the same?